What's up, millennials? So today we're going to talk about why Upwork went up more than 50% this day because of their earnings of yesterday. We're going to take a look at some of the fundamentals and we're also going to check out some financials. So let's go. Alright, let's first start with the fundamentals. So by the way, this part of the earnings call was actually done by the CEO of Upwork, which is Hayden Brown. She actually sounds like a really good CEO, if I have to be honest. It looks like she actually looks at like the bigger picture, right? She's only been the CEO of Upwork since this year, since January 2020. But she's been working at Upwork since 2011, before she was actually the Chief Marketing and Product Officer. Especially the marketing part, I believe, is quite important because that could be very important for growing Upwork, growing the company a little bit more in the future. So the first thing that I would like to highlight here from this earnings call is that they say that Upwork is the world's largest work marketplace as measured by GSV. What is GSV? Well, this stands for Gross Services Volume. It's basically the amount of jobs that are being done by freelancers on the Upwork platform. Now, if you look at market cap, for example, then a platform like Fiverr is actually bigger than Upwork. But Fiverr is probably still considered as the number one in this industry of freelance services, right? But maybe we can see Upwork becoming the number one at some point in the future. The second thing that I would like to highlight of the fundamentals is the focus on SEO, search engine optimization. So what they say is the following. In Q3, we saw an 89% year-over-year increase in client registrations from the SEO channel. So what I believe is that it's very good to see that Upwork is actually investing in search engine optimization, right? I think it's a very good way to get more clients relatively cheaply, especially if you compare that to like ads on TV, for example. I would actually like to see Upwork invest a little bit more in their social media presence. Just go like Gary Vee style. I'm not sure if you know that guy, but he is one person that advocates definitely to go on social media. And according to me, they probably should concentrate heavily on a very big presence on LinkedIn, for example, which is of course very business related, right? I think they can get a lot of cheap attention over there. Another highlight would be the client retention. Upwork says the following. Once a client works with a freelancer on Upwork, they consider that freelancer to be part of their extended team, perpetually available on the Upwork Virtual Talent Bench. The client may go back to that freelancer every month or once a year, but that connection doesn't typically end with the project. That is very important in my opinion because this shows that clients simply want to keep working with freelancers and freelancers also want to keep working with the clients, right? Which also means that the clients and the freelancers will actually continue to use Upwork because they simply want to keep working with each other. Now, Upwork also mentions a very good example of the massive benefits for a company to use Upwork. They say the following. One of our large technology clients recently transitioned all employee requisitions to Upwork and decreased their time to hire by 10x, from 80 days down to 8 days. They were able to lower costs by more than 50% while achieving their growth goals. So that seems quite clear to me, right? I don't think I need to add anything more to that. They can simply spend less time and less money on hiring new people for their business. And then the last thing that I want to mention in this fundamental section is the project catalog. This is a new functionality on the platform of Upwork. It's in beta version right now, but it's going to be launched to all consumers, to all customers in February next year. And according to Upwork, this is an easy way to quickly purchase some of the most popular services freelancers have to offer, right? So this way, clients can actually quickly choose from a range of pre-packaged options. So what this looks like is that freelancers will be able to showcase more or less their top performing services. And Upwork can then present these services of like multiple freelancers and put them together in a neatly put together package, right? So that would save the clients lots of time, lots of money to go through all the individual offers, all the individual services. Now, this looks like a very good, I think, a better experience for the users for both parties involved. So I really love that. Well, I do hope that I have this explanation right, but we're going to see what this looks like in February next year in 2021. Now let's take a look at the financials that were presented during the earnings call. So let's take a look at a few numbers, okay? Upwork saw an increase in gross services volume by 23% year over year to 654.5 million, okay? And then we also saw a similar revenue growth of 24% year over year to 96.7 million. And the net income was actually 5 million compared to 1.1 million last year in the third quarter, then Q3 of 2020 compared to Q3 of 2019. So that is actually $0.04, so 4 cents per share compared to 1 cent per share, which looks very good to me. And by the way, if you want some more information about the Upwork's financials and also the possible future value of the share price, then check out the video in the description and probably somewhere also like in this corner. It's a video done by someone else, another YouTuber, which also talks about Upwork. Now, these seem to be great numbers, of course, but it did make me think, is this worth a 50% increase in share price? Well, I'm personally not an expert of balance sheets and financials, so I looked around to see what other people were saying, people with way more experience than I have, and they mainly looked at one sentence that was said during the earnings call, and it's the following one. Looking at the investments we plan to make in Q4, we expect EBITDA margin to be in the low single digits. So I looked this up on macro trends, right? I wanted to see a little bit more about that EBITDA margin. So here what we have is the graph of the EBITDA margin for Upwork and Fiverr. I thought it would be interesting to see like both companies on this chart, right? So the blue line on top over there is Upwork and the dotted orange line is Fiverr. So as we can see, the EBITDA margin of Upwork is slightly decreasing over time and Fiverr is actually going up aggressively. But Upwork now said that the EBITDA margin for Q4 could actually be in the low single digits. So maybe like 1%, 2%, 3%, I'm not entirely sure, which would be a massive jump from at least Q2 because we don't have the data over here from Q3 just yet. So I'm not entirely sure what the EBITDA margin for Upwork is right now in Q3. But still, if you would compare this chart, which is going down slightly gradually, and then expect a positive EBITDA margin of like 1 to 2% or something like that, that would be a massive jump, of course, in expectations. So I believe that could be one of the main reasons why we actually saw a 50% increase in share price today. Now, we do need to take into account the possible effect of the current health situation. Because what happens if it's gone? Are freelancers actually going to keep using Upwork more and more in the future? Or will some people go back to work for companies full time? Personally, I do think that Upwork will continue to grow. Possibly not at the growth rates that we have been seeing this year, but I do expect some growth in the future. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Do you think that Upwork will continue to grow? Is it going to become the #1 company in the freelance industry? Let me know in the comments. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!